Hi, my name is Cynthia Singleton, and welcome to my video about assessing problem behaviors. We're going to start with who I am, functional analysis versus a functional behavior analysis, what the literature says, and when you should perform each assessment, and a conclusion along with the case study. So let's get to it. I am a current student of behavioral analysis and working on my master's degree so that I may provide in-home behavioral services. I'm performing my current field work with a company that delivers behavior services in the home as well, and they are funded by the Medicaid waiver. It's an important distinction to remember as we go along this video. I've been fortunate enough to see how those services are delivered, how the data is collected, and how the interventions are implemented, and ultimately the successes of those interventions. So, what is a functional analysis? Well, the functional analysis can help you as a professional to analyze what is maintaining a problem behavior. A functional analysis is not used or necessary in all cases, but it can be useful when you're having a problem with determining what is maintaining that particular behavior. It allows professionals to ensure what the function of the behavior truly is, along with a process that creates conditions based on the four functions of the behavior. The condition that creates a high frequency of the behavior is theorized to be the function of that behavior. A functional behavioral analysis, or an FBA, as you probably know it as, is a procedure used to identify problem behaviors and developing interventions to improve or reduce those behaviors. An FBA is conducted by gathering information and forming a hypothesis about the function of that behavior and how it is impacting the client and their life. The FBA allows professionals and behavior therapists alike to implement a plan to decrease problem behaviors and increase appropriate behaviors. An FBA can be conducted in a number of ways. The manner in which the information is collected refers to strategies used. Functional behavioral assessment assists in identifying the cause of the challenging behavior in clients and to help the client identify a resolution. So currently, I have found a lot of literature reviews, and most of them deal with an FBA or functional analysis within the educational field. A lot of what the literature says is that while an FBA or an FA, it may be utilized within the educational field, that in some of these research, they've noticed that the FBAs fall short of what it's supposed to do. And what is being said is that the FBAs are ineffective, and as a result, the intervention will be ineffective because they were improperly implemented. They were improperly implemented because the educational system does not have the resources or the training necessary. It's a very intensive training to learn how to conduct an FA or an FBA. So, which assessment do we use? Well, like everything else in the world, when it comes to people and their barriers, no two are the same. We should approach each person, each client, with a slate and tailor their assessment to meet their particular needs. In an FBA assessment, conducting an analysis of the behavior by reviewing an existing data, interviewing the parent, the teacher, and the client, and direct observation will help the behavior be observed and determine the needs and the interventions. In a functional assessment is useful within an FBA because it not only tests the function of the behavior, but it helps to define the function in a manner that is more definitive by testing it. An FA is the only way to know for sure what causes that behavior, according to Cooper, Heron, and Heward. The company that I'm currently doing my field experience with utilized both FBAs and FAs. The CEO of the company allows for the consultants to use their best judgment, and in assessing their clients, it is based on the need of the function of the behavior is if it's not clear. One of the behavior consultants that I work with usually favors the FBAs. She told me that it was largely due to the Medicaid waiver requirement that an FBA be completed within the first 45 days of beginning work with a client. She uses various assessment tools like the MASS or the FAST tool, which kind of helps to paint the picture for everything that is going on with the client. So here is a case study that I'm currently working with. Problem behaviors, they look differently for everybody. Some may have self-injurious behaviors, and others may need immediate intervention, like for self-injurious behaviors, and others may have hitting behaviors or off-task behaviors. Let's take the case of Bobby O. He's an 8-year-old Hispanic male who's diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, separation anxiety disorder, childhood, and developmental delay. So Bobby started services over 2 years ago, and those behaviors that were targeted were noncompliance, physical aggression, and tantrums. The behavior consultant conducted an initial FBA and then another one a year later, as is required. So once the data collection was completed by mom and grandmother, the behavior consultant, it was reported to her that there are new behaviors developing, such as elopement. However, the school system does not let the behavior consultant into the school or to be part of the IEP meeting. The behavior consultant noted that some of his maladaptive behaviors were regarding school. She uses social stories to help him with some of the on-task items. But it doesn't end there. So now mom has taken him to a doctor who has started the trend of medicating him. This 8-year-old boy is on clonidine, olanzapine, guanfacine, topiramate, dextromethamphetamine, Miralax, sertraline, and hydroxyzine. So where does that medication stop? Was this part of the FBA? Do we have the right to say anything? Well, in short answer, yes, we do have the right to say something. We don't have the right to make that choice for them. However, we are obligated to report the medication for several reasons. First, we have behavioral consultants, we have to know how those medications can affect the behavior that we've currently targeted. Secondly, if it's a psychotropic medication and it's Medicaid waiver funded, those restrictions are considered, for the psychotropic medications, they're considered restrictions, and it has to go to a Human Rights Committee. The Human Rights Committee likes to see those prescribed medications eventually titrate down and off the medicines, but they only do this one at a time. So again, as a behavior consultant, we continuously do assessments to see where the client is. While this presentation was a discussion about a functional analysis and a functional behavioral analysis, we should how we should differentiate between both assessments and when we should utilize it. It's important to remember they do not exist independently of each other. As previously stated, each client is different, such as each behavioral consultant is different and each company. While some in a clinical setting may have a hard and fast rule about the assessments they utilize, remember, for every example, there is also an exception. All things considered, I think I am more comfortable utilizing an FBA, but I also think we need to test the function of the behaviors if we don't know the behaviors. Interestingly enough, some of the consultants that I worked with had no idea what the difference between the two were. It's important that we differentiate for ourselves so that we may best serve our clients. I hope this helped. I've attached some other forums to help you with functional analysis and functional behavioral analysis, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Have a good day.